Okay. Well, if I sound good, then we can
You
finally
sound okay
proceed.
right now.
Goodness.
Okay. We'll stop and let you do the intro. Okay, reset.
All right. So hello, everyone. Today we're going to be reviewing SAO Progressive, the movie. This is actually the first time Cyns.Corner is reviewing an anime with us. Matt has been with us for the Demon Slayer reviews. And yeah, so let's talk about it since we just saw it. So this movie is more it takes place basically just before the start of the show itself.
Right.
But it's more of Asuna's perspective, and we get to see what she was doing right around the time the whole shit show happened. And it follows her and her best friend as she's training to survive this situation. However, things ended up happening. And then we kind of end up getting to see just stuff that happened in the first season. But then after that, it kind of leaves it with another part to come later. And that's pretty much the plot. We just see Asuna develop as a character through this.
Right, definitely.
We never saw
character
her
development.
Yeah, we never saw her. Like episode 2 of the first season, we saw her in the hood and all that. See, it was like a time skip right there. This shows the progression when they're stuck throughout most of November up until, I guess, close to December. So I thought it was interesting with that. Asuna got more character time, to be honest. But the new character was literally just made for this show. Not even in the manga, not even in the light novel, none of that. She was just inserted in, which to me, when it comes to the plot and the timeline, it kind of starts to shake a little bit because
messes it up a little, doesn't it?
Because
I didn't remember her.
Because now we're having almost like an alternate route a little bit with how things go, and I will get to the comparisons in a sec. But what do you guys think of the plot?
I think Matt's trying to figure out his technical issues. I was waiting for him to talk.
No. I was going to let you go first.
Oh, me?
Because
Okay. I like the plot, but I think I was at a disadvantage because there was a lot about season 1 that I did not remember. I completely forgot when she and Kirito first met each other. I don't believe that was shown at all in the first season when he, like the first meeting in this movie, was that actually shown in the first season? I don't remember that at all. I completely forgot that she had worn a hood in the show. And of course, I completely forgot about her friend. And then, of course, we find out that friend was never even in the first. She's never even in it at all. So what I wanted to ask was, in this movie, when it showed them encounter each other for the first time, did that happen in season 1? Because I don't remember.
No. What happened was in season 1, I think it was episode 2. It was more of when she's already in the hood. They're having that meeting.
The meeting where in the amphitheater.
That was in episode 2 of season 1, and she's already in the hood. And I would mention the comparisons. You could like tell they just redrew that entire scene because the whole part where she's eating the bread with him and the cream and stuff, that was like all in the first or second episode.
So that part was in the episode. I couldn't. There's so much I have forgotten. So much.
And then the whole fight scene in that dungeon was in that entire second episode of SAO.
You mean
they teamed up?
You mean the climax? The climax of this movie.
That was in episode 2. They fought that creature, and the guy in the spoiler alert, I guess he died, which that's what happened in the show itself. So even the opening is like guaranteed to be all redrawn just from Asuna's perspective.
Yeah.
And to me, I felt that was kind of pretty interesting, except the only thing you're getting now with the whole alternate thing with the timeline is her friend. just
stuff that
inserted
wasn't
in
stuff
there.
that's been added. Yeah.
Yeah, she was never in this, but we do get an explanation on how Asana's hairstyle is in the very back.
Exactly, and how she became so good at fighting.
Because see, in the sorry, go ahead, or would you rather?
I lost my train of thought. You go right ahead.
Well, I was gonna say, because episode 2. Like episode 1, the whole chaos at the beginning. Okay. I think in episode 2, it was, by that point, it was like a time skip because she's already in the hood. All that.
Right. So this is
And
all that stuff like in between.
This is like in
showing
between
her journey. Like it shows how she gets in the game in the first place. And then, so the stuff from the amphitheater to the final battle. Wait, in the amphitheater, she had already met Kirito. So there's a whole bunch of stuff. Like they're showing everything, obviously everything that happens with her up until she goes to the amphitheater meeting. Mm-hmm. And then stuff that happens between that point and the big battle at the end. Yeah. And something that I was noticing when I was watching this, well, okay, number one, I thought the voice acting was great. I do prefer dub English voices for animation shows, because I was telling you when we were leaving the theater, it's much easier to accomplish than in live action. It's easier to buy into, right? Because it's animated, so the mouths aren't always going to work perfectly. Yeah. But so and it sounded to me like the regular cast returned, all of them, from what I noticed. And also, I thought the animation was beautiful. I like the coloring. Definitely. I like the style. I always thought the animation was good in Sword Art Online, but like you said, if I compared the animation in the original, like the first season with this, I'm sure I would see a huge improvement.
Yeah, because let's be real.
It's been 10 years, like you said.
It's almost 10 years. I mean, don't get me wrong. The quality in here is still good for a 2010s anime. It's just this is newer. Okay, we're in the 2020s. So what's up, Mom? What were you gonna say? I
did have one thing that stood out to me as what the heck, and there was no explanation for why. And I'm gonna okay. So we're venturing into spoilerish territory here. Not huge spoilers, just kind of getting into some detail as to what happened in a scene. And when she was in that fight with her friend, and those weird flower creatures with the big lips were coming after him.
Yeah.
And she wasn't supposed to kill this one with the fruit, right?
Right.
She was trying to stop, but why didn't she? It was like her sword acted on its own accord. That made no sense to me at all.
It was the skill.
There was no explanation.
No, it was the skill she had. It pushes you forward when it glows.
I get it now. I get it. I was Matt. I was like, "What the heck?" And then they never explained it, so I was like, "Ooh, what's going on?"
It's the momentum. It's toward.
I get it. No, I get it.
They play with it.
I get it now. This is me because this is me just being a gamer dum-dum, because I don't play these sorts of things.
Well, so you do work on RPGs. You do work on RPGs.
I don't work on RPGs. I work on books about RPGs.
But Matt,
which is funny, because when I started working on these books, the first thing I thought of was SAO.
Yeah.
So okay, go ahead.
I was just gonna say, like Matt, what did you think?
I liked it. I thought it was good. It flowed well, meaning it didn't have chunks missing. That was one thing with the SAO show that always got me, was there were, I know there's time skips and stuff, but there were like entire like plot points cut or moved or not explained, or they would go back to something later on and be like, hey, remember when this happened? And it wasn't in the first season. So I liked how the narrative like really kind of connected. And they do add in some of the manga characters and some of the other like smaller niche characters, even if they just have cameos.
Okay.
I'm talking about the girl at the ending.
Oh yeah, her.
Right. Her. I wondered if that's who you were referring to, and I had no idea who she was because I haven't read the manga.
She has a little bit more of a role in the manga, but it looks like what they did is they cut her role possibly out, put Miyu there in the beginning, and she's going to be bigger in like the second and third movie.
So wasn't she in the? I thought she was in the show.
She may have been. She may have been in like an episode as like a super small cameo.
Yeah, a cameo. I do remember her.
She had a little bit of a better role in the other manga.
Well, because she appeared like in episode 3. It's when he's with that group. Which, spoiler alert, that's the one where all of them got killed when they went in that dungeon, and he's talking to her around like a Christmas area, like there's a tree and stuff. I was saying that.
How do you remember these episodes? When I have
a good memory. I have a good memory.
What the heck?
You got to thank dyslexics for having a good memory.
Right. Well, there's
Matt and I.
Basically, this movie covers bits and pieces, or basically it covers the timeline of episode 1 and 2.
Yeah,
right.
That's pretty much all it was. Just showing Austin's perspective, which I think did a good job with expressing everything with her struggles.
Mm-hmm.
And you know, her friend, I would have assumed was going to hit, kick the bucket, but no.
That's exactly what I thought, but that did not happen.
Because if she wasn't around in the show, then she would have.
Right, exactly. I thought she was going to get killed before we were seeing all these other elements that we could remember from the show. Like, I do remember the amphitheater meeting. I remember that there was a big boss battle with a red creature at the end of that battle. But I just remember, it's like, I don't remember this girl. It must be she's going to die before Kirito comes in the picture and all this stuff. But no, she didn't. So I was like, oh, I really don't remember her at all in my memory. And then, of course, as Matt says, she's not even in the books. So
yeah. Now, to be honest, I thought I had a memory where I think the next one will go, because I did read one of the mangas, because I thought after they beat that boss, they go on a whole other adventure, which the second movie will cover. But yeah, animation was top notch, really very detailed at points. Obviously, it's going to surpass the show because, it's 10 years old by this point. It's kind of adapting more of the season 3 art style.
The first season to me is the best.
Yeah.
I really, really enjoyed season 1. But I was going to ask you, you made a prediction as to where you thought this movie was going to end. You said, I think it's going to be where it's going to go through this particular battle you mentioned. Is that the one that you were thinking that it was going to end?
That was the battle, yeah. It was a whole recreation of the second episode battle.
Okay.
All of it in detail. Yeah. Matt, do you have anything else to add?
Not really. The one thing I would have to check if this was the intended design, but the first enemies you see in the beta test, the lizard people, may have been the lizard people Kirito was fighting in the way with the first novel. Because the first novel starts off with him fighting lizard people, and then it reverses back, and then it goes back to that, and then starts the rest of the story.
Oh, yeah.
Might have been a little bit of an homage to it.
Yeah. And I did check the girl. She is in episode 3, and she's in the Holofragment game. So she does show up.
Wow, I don't remember.
You mean the girl?
The one at the end?
Yep.
Oh, yeah.
The one at the end.
Yeah. Okay, yeah. Mm-hmm. Yep. She's even in a Lost Song. That one, I have that. But yeah, now I do want to jump to the new character. Would you say she had also a pretty good character development? We kind of got to know her a bit, even though she's new. But since she's just this character that's inserted, she's kind of there.
No.
Okay, I didn't feel like there was a lot of character development with her. Go ahead, Matt, because there was some stuff I was wanting to say about her, and I don't want to. No, you go ahead.
She merged well for the story. It's a lot better than what they did with the way the anime works, because the anime is basically part 1 is book 1 and book 2 smashed together. So you get these weird episodes where this one blacksmith girl just randomly shows up. She's in a few background, but she's now a main character. Or you get the little girl with the dragon, and it's one episode. She doesn't really do anything for the rest of that whole 16 episode arc. Or the whole murder mystery plot. It kind of goes somewhere, but it doesn't really go anywhere. With her, at least they were able, when they did insert her, if you know what to look for, you know where they did add her in, but it works. It wasn't really, this doesn't make any sense. It made sense.
Like, she didn't mess up anything because I was thinking to myself, well, I knew that Kirito finished off the final boss in that part. So for her, she's like kind of there, sort of intertwined with that whole timeline part, but at least it didn't like affect it in some way. He still it didn't
change the original final outcome.
Yeah,
in other
because
words,
because in the original, Asuna and Kirito, they pretty much beat that thing up, and then I think Kirito did finish him off. Yeah, what were you gonna say, Cyn, about
her? I felt like I feel like obviously she served an important purpose to help sort of guide Asuna's character development along. But I felt like it almost seemed like they were hinting at a bit of a deeper type of relationship going on with him.
That's what I thought.
I was definitely getting those vibes. It never really went there, but I was feeling like this feels like it's undertones of that. But another thing that I thought was kind of odd, it's not necessarily odd or bad, but just like kind of, well, that's a strange relationship they had. And it was at the beginning when it shows this girl, what was her name? She called her Mito in the game, right? But what was her real name? I forgot her name. Her friend.
It started with a T. I thought
it started with an M.
Something.
Yeah, it was an M. It was like Mito.
I'll just call her Mito. Her game
Mito.
name was Mito, but she had some other name. Anyway, Mito. So it was almost like Austin. So she, in the real world, she's this great gamer. That's why she's so good in the game. So that explains that's why she's such a badass in the game, because she had just been gaming for years, which makes sense. But it was like she was a social outcast in a way, because she was always alone. And Asuna had her little group of friends, and Asuna was friends with her. But when she was with her friends, she almost acted like the other girl didn't exist. But then when nobody else was around, then they were like, bosom buddies. And it was just like, I thought that was really odd, like that Asuna would act that way. Like that, like she just acted almost not necessarily snobbish, but it's like, why don't you openly acknowledge her and hang out with her when all your other friends are around? Why are you just not mingling with her when you only do it when people are gone? I thought that was strange.
Oh no!
I could kind of explain that.
Here we go.
Those parts in the manga, she wasn't in the manga. So what they try to do is they try to recreate scenes from the manga.
Yeah, I guess.
And try to smash this new character in. So either you have to rechange every scene and have a new person in there,
right?
Or she's antisocial. Look, we still have the same scene. She's just in the background. Because some of those girls do show up in the manga as well. So I think it was them not trying to mess with the scenes, but add in a new character. That's how I got it. That's why Asuna's personality kind of it's sword art when it mixes like three contents together, it doesn't always mix well.
Okay, I was just wondering. I just thought that was odd because Asuna didn't seem like she was someone that was snobbish, but yet at the same time, it was like she seemed like she was bordering on that when she wouldn't acknowledge her friend. I was like, that's really what a strange relationship they have.
Yeah.
Unless she's just she's just too antisocial. She doesn't want to be around Asuna's friends while she's hanging out with them.
Could be, could be. And then Asuna doesn't want to abandon her friends to go hang out with the other girl. So maybe that was just.
To me, I felt like she at least. I kind of liked the whole thing with how she acted at that moment, where a specific thing happening where she couldn't get to Asuna, and Asuna was in danger, and then her humanity kicked in, which, you know, I could see that because there's been
her humanity.
Well, the humanity aspect, the fear that's a humanity. That's a human. Wouldn't I say it's a more of a humanity thing where there are people that just are too like they kind of.
I wouldn't consider that like humanity is like when you were trying to help.
Yeah.
You know.
Okay, then it's more of the human nature.
It's fight or flight.
Yeah, fight or flight, exactly. Yeah, and you could tell that bothered her. I thought I wondered if it was going to lead to some sort of really terrible conflict, but that's not where it went. I mean, it would seem out of character if it did.
Yeah.
But obviously, it was something that she felt very guilty about, and that damaged Asuna to a little, not really damaged, but kind of scarred her a little bit.
Yeah,
she's a little bit hesitant to team up with Kirito. Now, when they teamed up in the amphitheater, did that happen in the show? Did it happen that way?
Yeah.
Okay.
Yep.
All right.
Well, I mean, that's what I liked with that, like, human nature aspect. When you're at that danger point, what are you gonna do? How are you gonna react?
Do you sacrifice yourself, or do you flee?
Do you flee? And you know, there have been things like that have happened throughout history. I mean, you're too scared, you know.
Yeah.
But the worst part comes after the fact that you just fled, you know.
Yeah.
And so that's what I liked. That's what I liked about that portion when it came to her, like, character, was that she was in a guilt trip from part of it.
I also felt like it was a little, it stretched your sense of disbelief a little bit too much of how long Asuna hung in there without actually dying. Her bar was like at critical for the longest time, and she never died. And I would have thought you would have been dead by now. So I had a little bit of an issue with that particular
safety
scene.
features
and then
on the
creature,
game. Yeah,
I don't know about that.
He didn't want
everybody to die. The creature never even biting her, and it was like she was right there in its jaws, and it never did anything. Really
low level. It was low level. They actually do explain that in one of the episodes. When you get to a higher level, you start auto healing yourself. That's the thing with Kirito.
But it wasn't acting like that. She wasn't auto healing.
She
kept blinking on critical like she was about to blink out of existence any moment.
She did also.
And she was still getting bashed around and hit. And I mean, by that point I would like, okay, the next hit's going to kill her. I mean, I knew that wasn't going to happen because we know it doesn't, but I felt like that was just a little bit, okay, you're pushing it a little bit too much. So I think they should have nudged her health bar up a little bit more.
Yeah, they could have done that. That's probably maybe one small minor thing there with that. Okay. But anyways, overall, I actually really enjoyed this film. I thought it was a pretty good balanced film. Maybe tiny specks of minor issues, but it's going to be expected. I mean, not everything's going to be perfect. So to conclude, I actually think, to me, when it came to the first season, some people had issues where, they rushed the time, or they rushed. I felt like they rushed Asuna and Kirito's relationship. I feel like people didn't notice the time skip. They could have known each other, bada bing, bada boom.
Yeah.
At least this film kind of gives you more depth with them. And, the next part will probably give us even more depth.
Yeah. Because this is a part one, if we didn't mention.
Yeah.
This is a part one. And also, interestingly enough, when part two comes out, it will be taking place in the same time frame when the actual original series happened.
Unless part two is part of the 2-year time skip, and it takes place during 2024.
Oh, that's right.
Well, we might get a glimpse of both, possibly, but to me, I think I have more appreciation for the first season, even more, that they kind of fleshed more of this thing out. But the only downside people are probably going to say is that, well, inserting the new character and doing some little things here, they're following more of the progressive manga. Or is it a light novel too, Matt?
It's
or
both.
Is it just it's both.
And those are more inclined that they can connect with the original series. This one kind of can't because of the new character. You have to kind of go and say, "Oh, she's never shown up during all of these other major events."
That's what I was thinking. Yeah, but in general, if you want, like that's the thing. That's kind of what's hard about this movie. I like that you're seeing more of Asana's perspective. I mean, we already got Kirito's, but even the show kind of, time skipped. At least with this, you see what was going on during this few weeks after that whole chaos. But the downside is that whether you can really insert it somewhere in the timeline because of that new character. But other than that, though, I personally enjoyed it, and it gave me more of appreciation for the first season. Mm-hmm. And I just think they did a pretty good job with it. So I would say it's very good.
Yep.
And there's nothing at the end, so don't stay. Not worth
nope.
staying.
Just if you want to see a light get turned off, then that's about it.
I'm going to look in on that because that may actually be a little bigger than what we're thinking.
Maybe, but
what do you mean?
I'm kind of hoping it's what I'm hoping it is. There was a whole subplot they never explained with the every time they would be a floor up, a bottom floor would open.
Oh, okay.
And what I'm really hoping is we get some weird cut in one of the movies where we actually start exploring the bottom areas. Because a few people did in it, and we never got an explanation on what was going on.
Okay.
So that's my personal hope. That we get, like, maybe there won't be 3 movies, there will be like 3 movies and then an extra side movie explaining some of that.
Yeah, I would say if people that really like SAO, they'll really enjoy this. If you're more like us, where we liked only the first season, this would definitely be the thing to watch.
Yeah, that was why I was interested to watch it. If it was going to take place in Fairyland, I would have just sat out in the lobby and worked with my computer.
That may be the second group of movies.
Gosh, if it is, I don't know.
No, let's not go there.
I think Progressive has at least 7 or 8 light novels. So
okay.
No, that's when we'll probably drop it. Unless I want to torture myself, I'd rather probably torture myself with that than watch Cats. That tries to get me to see.
Okay.
Okay. Have a good night.